Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world with me, Deepika, coming up in the next half an hour. NDA parliamentarians felicitate Prime Minister Narendra Modi for India-US trade deal. Deal reducing tariffs to 18% was announced by President Donald Trump after a telephonic conversation with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Indian stock markets gave a huge thumbs up to the US trade deal. Market indices trading in green. Rupee jumps 1.2% against the US dollar. Iran and the USA to resume nuclear talks in Turkey on Friday after US President Donald Trump warned Iran of consequences. Bill and Hillary Clinton to testify in US House probe on Jeffrey Epstein, avoiding potential contempt vote. Good afternoon to all the viewers joining us at the afternoon broadcast. To begin with the latest, India and the United States have agreed to a trade deal under which Washington will bring down reciprocal tariffs on Indian goods to 18%. President Donald Trump said on Monday after a phone conversation with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Later, in a social media post on X, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, and I quote him here, "Wonderful to speak with my dear friend President Trump. Delighted that Made in India products will now have a reduced tariff of 18%. Big thanks to President Trump on behalf of the 1.4 billion people of India for this wonderful announcement. When two large economies and the world's largest democracies work together, it benefits our people and unlocks immense opportunities for mutually beneficial cooperation. President Trump's leadership is vital for global peace, stability and prosperity. India fully supports his efforts for peace. I look forward to working closely with him to take our partnership to unprecedented heights," unquote. President Donald Trump, on his part, termed his conversation with Prime Minister Narendra Modi as an honor and termed him as one of his greatest friends and a powerful and respected leader of India. He said that the amazing relationship between the US and India will be even stronger going forward. He added that he and Prime Minister Narendra Modi are two people that get things done, something that cannot be said for most. Meanwhile, the two leaders, according to Donald Trump, also talked about ending the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was greeted with applause and accolades at the NDA parliamentary meeting following a landmark trade agreement between India and the US. Speaking at the BJP parliamentary party meeting, Union Minister Kiran Rijiju highlighted that under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, India has successfully signed major trade deals with the European Union, United Arab Emirates, Mauritius, Australia, UK, New Zealand and now the US.
पार्लियामेंट्री पार्टी में आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी को अभिनंदन किया और उनका मार्गदर्शन में जो ऐतिहासिक ट्रेड डील्स हासिल किए हैं उसके लिए बधाई भी दी है। टोटल 39 देश 39 देशों के साथ फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट हो गए हैं। ये ऐतिहासिक है और ये 39 कंट्रीज जो है पूरा डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज है, जैसे यूरोपियन यूनियन के जितने कंट्रीज हो या ऑस्ट्रेलिया हो, न्यूजीलैंड हो, यूके हो, तो ये ऐतिहासिक है।
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar welcomed the announcements on India-US bilateral trade. In a social media post on X, Dr. Jaishankar said, and I quote, "This will create more jobs, spur growth and promote innovation in both economies. It will strengthen Make in India endeavours and encourage trusted technology ties. The opportunities in our economic engagement are truly vast and we are confident of realizing them. A robust economic relationship is the strongest foundation for a strategic partnership," unquote. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal too congratulated Prime Minister Modi and President Trump, as well as to the people of India and the United States on the landmark trade agreement. In a social media post, the Commerce Minister said, "This reflects the power of two like-minded, fair trading democracies working together for shared prosperity." He further said that this agreement unlocks unprecedented opportunities for farmers, MSMEs, entrepreneurs, and skilled workers to make in India for the world, design in India for the world, and innovate in India for the world. It will help India get technology from the US. He further added, it is not just a trade deal. It is a historic turning point that will reshape India-US relations and accelerate our journey towards Viksit Bharat 2047. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh termed the historic deal as a landmark moment for India-US relations. He said, and I quote him here, "It brings tariffs down to a significantly lower 18% and opens a new chapter of deeper and greater economic cooperation." Rajnath Singh also congratulated Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Donald Trump on reaching this decisive agreement, which will significantly strengthen our strategic partnership and deliver tangible benefits to both the countries and their people. He added that with this agreement, India-US economic ties are set to reach new heights. Now, industry leaders and market experts, along with economists, have welcomed the deal, terming it as a historic victory and a win-win agreement that will boost bilateral economic ties between the two nations, improve market sentiment, and strengthen India's position in global trade. Terming it as monumental, saying the deal will accelerate bilateral trade and strategic partnership. Take a listen.
The tariffs on India export drops by 18%, easing pressure on key sectors while India commits to a deeper trade and energy alignment with US. The outcome strengthens India's export competitiveness, rebalance global supply chains, and unlocks new opportunities for both countries. This signals a tighter economic cooperation between US and India, which is not just a trade deal, but a long-term growth alignment that reshapes the global market.
I think it'll give the two sides something to be very happy about. It'll provide, I think, for a good news story, so to speak, at a moment when these high-level engagements between the U.S. and India in recent months have so often been, feature these caveats about how the relationship is in tough shape and that the two sides need to try to work to make things better. Now you have a success story. It's an indication that this relationship is getting closer to being back where both sides, at the end of the day, want it to be.
Reaction was, wow, it's finally here. It's taken too long, and I'm just glad that we've got an announcement of a deal. I think the two sides have been close for months. The trade negotiators on both sides have been working at this. It appeared last July that they were very close. Things went off the rails at that time. It was largely on the Russian oil purchases issue, but there were other problems as well. So, it's been clear for some time that to get this across the finish line, it would require the two leaders to speak. And that's what happened this morning. So I think their perspectives match up well. The two leaders are on the same page, and there is truly a trade agreement here that's been announced.
The chairman of Ashcon Global and Capital Markets veteran, Dr. Ashok Ajmera, said many of the Indian industries will be benefited by this deal.
Hats off to our Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji and the Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal ji for this fantastic, wonderful achievement. With this deal, with the reduction of the duty, many of our Indian industries, the companies will be benefited, especially the garments, curtains, bed sheets, shrimp industry, gems and jewelry industry. They will be majorly benefited along with the other industries. And now our tariff to US export is lesser than some of the other competitive countries nearby.
Meanwhile, Indian equity markets staged a sharp rebound on Tuesday morning after the announcement about the long-awaited India-US trade agreement. The Sensex surged more than 3,600 points at the open, vaulting past the 85,000 mark after ending Monday's session at 81,666.46. The Nifty 50 mirrored the rally, jumping nearly 1,200 points from its previous close of 25,088.4. Sectoral gains were broad-based, led by strong buying in realty, auto, consumer durables and IT stocks, which climbed 4.47%, 3.78%, 3.69% and 3.04% respectively. Stocks rallied while precious metals rebounded as some stability returned on Tuesday following a rout fueled by a perfect storm that sent shivers through across Asian trading floors. The dollar's sharp recovery sent precious metals plunging at an eye-watering pace, with gold hitting a low of $4,402 and silver $71, having enjoyed equally blistering gains in recent weeks to a record high above $5,595 and $121. The rush out of the safe haven metals was also driven by easing US-Iran tensions after Trump voiced optimism over a deal with Tehran. Now that, combined with the stronger dollar, also sent oil prices plunging at breakneck speed. Among equity markets, Seoul was the best performer, piling on more than 5%. South Korea's Kospi opened up 165.14 points, or 0.34% at 5,114.81. Tokyo also enjoyed a bounce, adding more than 3%. Japan's Nikkei share average was up in early trading at 677 points at 53,332.18. While Hong Kong, Shanghai, Sydney, Singapore, Taipei, Bangkok and Manila also advanced. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is on a visit to the United States till the 4th of February, when he will participate in the Critical Minerals Ministerial convened by the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The ministerial will focus on supply chain resilience, clean energy transitions and strategic cooperation in critical minerals. During the visit, the External Affairs Minister will also hold meetings with senior members of the United States administration. Moving on now, let's get you weather updates. First up from National Capital Region. Delhi NCR continues to wake up to foggy morning with visibility dropping across large stretches of the city. The Indian Met Department attributed the phenomena to a strong western disturbance influencing North India that resulted in an unusual combination of dense fog, untimely showers and cold and gusty winds. The conditions follow a wet Sunday when light to moderate showers lashed parts of central and south Delhi, intensifying winter chill across the region. Given the prevailing conditions, the IMD issued a yellow alert for northern part of the country, including Delhi, Haryana, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand for Tuesday, while an orange alert is in place for East and West Uttar Pradesh. However, IMD shows no warning in place from Wednesday for most of the northern states. Due to dense fog, authorities have warned of major disruptions to road traffic and aviation services. Delhi Airport, in an advisory, has said that dense fog conditions might lead to delays or disruptions. It added that airport authorities are working closely with all stakeholders to minimize inconvenience to passengers. It has thus asked that for the latest flight status, passengers must contact their respective airlines before arriving at the airport. Snowfall and sub-zero temperatures cannot dampen the spirit of residents in the high Himalayan regions. Now these days, when most parts of Lahaul Spiti and Kulu Valley are covered in snow, local residents are busy celebrating the Halda festival. Every evening, people step out of their homes with torches, circle the entire village and until late at night, invoke the local deities through traditional dance and songs. The Halda festival is being celebrated with great enthusiasm in Manali as well. Amrit Udyan in New Delhi opens up for public viewing from today till the 31st of March, offering the visitors a chance to experience one of India's most celebrated green spaces. The iconic gardens will be open 6 days a week from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. with the last entry permitted at 5 p.m. The gardens will remain closed on Mondays for maintenance and on March the 4th on account of Holi. Entry to the garden will be free of cost. However, visitors will be required to book their tickets exclusively through the online portal. No on-the-spot booking facility will be available this year. Apart from Amrit Udyan, the Rashtrapati Bhavan and Rashtrapati Bhavan Museum will also remain open to the visitors from Tuesday till Sunday. Time for a short break. We'll be right back.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India Live. Well, Iran and the United States will resume nuclear talks on Friday in Turkey after US President Donald Trump warned Iran of consequences if a deal was not reached. US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi will meet in Istanbul on Friday in an effort to revive diplomacy over a long-running dispute about Iran's nuclear program. Representatives from Saudi Arabia and Egypt are also likely to participate in the meeting. US President Donald Trump has maintained he is hopeful that Washington will work something out with Iran, but also warned on Monday that bad things would happen if no deal is reached.
I can't tell you what I'm going to do because right now, we have a tremendous force going there, just like we did in Venezuela. Even bigger, and they'll be there soon, and I'd like to see a deal negotiated. I don't know that that's going to happen, but I mean, if I knew, I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't tell you. I'd be very foolish if I would tell you, but right now we're talking to them, we're talking to Iran, and if we could work something out, that'd be great, and if we can't, probably bad things would happen.
Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi on Monday said his country was ready for diplomacy with the United States.
We are ready for diplomacy, but they should know that diplomacy with threats, intimidation and pressure is not compatible. Diplomacy has its own ideology.
The meeting would be the first direct talks between the US and Iranian officials since April last year, before Israel and the US carried out strikes on Iranian nuclear and missile sites during a brief conflict in the month of June. Updates from West Asia now. Sick and wounded Gazans began crossing into Egypt to seek medical treatment on Monday after Israel permitted a limited reopening of Gaza's Rafah border. The Rafah crossing is the sole route in or out for nearly all of Gaza's more than 2 million residents. It was largely shut for almost 2 years, and reopening it to allow even limited access to the outside world is one of the last steps required under the initial phase of a US-brokered ceasefire that was reached in the month of October. In other update, US Envoy Steve Witkoff, who had a hand-in-hand negotiating the ceasefire deal, will meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Tuesday. Witkoff and fellow envoy and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner met with Netanyahu in late January and reportedly pushed for Rafah's opening. Moving on to France now. France adopted a 2026 government budget on Monday, following months of fraught negotiations after Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu survived the latest in a string of no-confidence motion. The budget, adopted on Monday after 4 months of political deadlock over government spending, includes measures to bring France's deficit down and boost military spending. Lawmakers rejected 2 no-confidence motions from the hard-left and far-right parties tabled after the premiere on Friday that forced his budget through Parliament without a vote for the third and final time. Motions tabled by France Unbowed, the Greens and other left-wing groups drew 260 of the 289 votes needed to oust the government. The far-right motion secured only 135 votes. Budget negotiations have consumed the French political class for nearly 2 years after President Emmanuel Macron's 2024 snap election delivered a hung parliament just as a massive hole in public finances made belt tightening more urgent. The US Congress has teed up a Tuesday vote on a spending bill to end the government shutdown following a House committee vote late on Monday. US President Donald Trump urged the House of Representatives on Monday to swiftly adopt a spending bill and end the 3-day government shutdown. In his Truth Social post, Trump said there can be no changes at this time to the legislation and called for its immediate passage.
Well, I spoke with Speaker Johnson, I spoke with Leader Thune, and I think they're pretty close to a resolution. You know, we were at 5.6% GDP, and we lost 1.5 points because of the 42-day shutdown. Think of that. We would have been at 7. Nobody ever saw a number like 7.
Later on Friday, the Senate passed a package clearing 5 outstanding funding bills to cover most federal agencies through September, along with a 2-week stopgap measure to keep DHAs operating while lawmakers negotiate immigration enforcement policy. Now, if the House approves the Senate deal, lawmakers would then have just 2 weeks to negotiate a full-year DHS funding bill. The shutdown followed a breakdown in negotiations because of Democratic anger over the killing of 2 protesters in Minneapolis by federal immigration agents, which derailed talks over new money for the Department of Homeland Security. Moving on to the latest in Epstein files now. Former US President Bill Clinton and his wife Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State, have agreed to testify in the congressional investigation into late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It comes days before the Republican-led US House of Representatives was expected to vote to hold both Clintons in criminal contempt over their month-long resistance of legal summons. Bill Clinton's photo appears in Epstein files released by the Department of Justice, although the former Democratic president has denied any wrongdoing. The US government's release of more than 3 million documents related to Jeffrey Epstein has raised further questions about the ties of 3 prominent figures in British public life. The former Prince Andrew, his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson and Peter Mandelson, the former UK ambassador to the US, are all listed multiple times in the latest trove of Epstein files. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has urged Andrew Mountbatten Windsor to testify before the US Congress, while Mandelson, who resigned from the Labour Party on Sunday, is facing calls from leading figures, including Starmer, to retire from the House of Lords. Now let's get you updates from the world of sports. Odisha Deputy Chief Minister Prabhati Parida attended the CISF Vande Mataram Coastal Cyclothon 2026 ceremony held at Konark. Speaking to DD India exclusively, she underlined the importance of public participation in strengthening coastal security awareness. Take a listen.
Deputy CM of Odisha, Ms. Prabhati Parida is with us. Welcome, ma'am. Appreciate you giving us your precious time. Ma'am, what does Coastal Cyclothon mean for Odisha, with Konark being the host and a major halt?
देखिए, मैं टूरिज्म के मिनिस्टर के नाते ये साइक्लोथॉन हमारे लिए ये टूरिज्म की प्रचार प्रसार के लिए भी है और तटीय सुरक्षा के लिए भी है। ये हमारी राष्ट्रवादी चिंताधारा के कमांडेंट्स अगर तटवर्ती सुरक्षा के वार्ता लेके एक मछुआरे की घर में रहेंगे, गांव में रहेंगे, तो इस गांव में जो एटमॉस्फेयर होगा वो लंबा उड़ीसा को सुरक्षित रखने के काम पे आएगी.
There are more than 50% of the athletes are women. There's a youth participation also in cyclothon. What do you want to say?
मोदी जी के शासन में लड़कियां शेरनी बन गई हैं, तो अभी साइकिल में बराबर की हिस्सेदारी के साथ माने लड़कियां जा रही हैं. उनसे बात भी हुई, फोटो भी खिंचाई. मैं गर्वित हूं कि उड़ीसा के पहला महिला मुख्यमंत्री के नाते आज साइक्लोथन में बेटियों को देख के मुझे लगती है कि हमारी फ्यूचर ज़्यादा सुरक्षित है.
Last question, ma'am. What message do you want to give to the cyclists and people who have been following cyclothon?
जिस विश्वास के साथ तटीय सुरक्षा की वार्ता लेके ये CISF कमांडर्स जा रही हैं, मुझे लगती है ये सुरक्षित हमारी तट रहेगी जब कम्युनिटी उसको सुरक्षित रखेगी.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for speaking with DD India. With cameraman Rakesh Kumar, this is Abhishek Mahajan in Konark for DD India.
And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.